Welcome to the very first episode of A Teacher's Guide to Believe. To kick off this series, we're introducing our B.E.L.I.E.V.E framework. This is a tool that asks teachers to consider how they can encourage belonging, empathy, lived experiences, integrity, evaluation, vulnerability, and equity for all students. Dedicating yourself to these principles can help empower students and build community. The ultimate goal is to help students flourish both academically and personally. To begin with, B is for belonging. Ensuring that all students feel a sense of belonging in your classroom is a vital factor in ensuring their success, happiness, and continued growth. Belonging refers to one feeling they're part of a collective group that values their thoughts, opinions, and beliefs. It's when students feel they have a home in the classroom. Belonging is fostered by teachers cultivating a safe space. As educators, rather than contributing to a culture of power, we should work to create a culture of belonging. In Paul Kivel's titular article, he explains how privilege stemming from factors associated with one's identity, such as race, gender, and socioeconomic status, can create a classroom space in which privileged students belong and underserved students don't. Something as simple as using inclusive language, for example referring to students as everyone or folks instead of boys and girls, can foster belonging for all.
E is for empathy. Empathy in education involves approaching students with an openness to difference and a willingness to respond with care and respect. Rather than approaching differences with judgment or fixed expectations, empathy encourages educators to remain open, patient, and thoughtful in their interactions with students. Empathy allows teachers to recognize that students may learn, communicate, and participate in different ways, and that these differences are a natural part of any classroom community. In the context of disability and inclusion, empathy helps educators move away from deficit-based thinking and towards practices that value flexibility, accessibility, and accommodation. When teachers approach their classrooms with empathy, they are more likely to create environments where students feel supported and valued. This mindset helps ensure that diversity, including disability, are not viewed as limitations but as an important part of the collective learning experience within the classroom.
L is for lived experiences. Lived experiences will become a key factor to navigating your classroom, as each student in your class will have varying experiences. As a teacher, it is important to look beyond the surface of their iceberg. It is your responsibility to ensure that you are building an open classroom where students are able to participate without experiencing constraints from their personal lives. Their cultures and lived experiences should not create a boundary. Rather, students should feel supported by their teacher and peers through the integration of their contextual and cultural aspects of life, especially for you as a teacher to further understand their development in the classroom and outside of it. Therefore, you must enter the classroom without preconceived biases, ensuring that you are able to help all students foster into their best version by getting to know them beyond just their name and educational abilities.
I is for integrity. Integrity means practicing what you preach and believing what you practice. A person with integrity does what they believe to be right regardless of if anybody is watching. It's not simply following OCT or board standards. It's not complaining to colleagues about equity practices while begrudgingly implementing them into the classroom. Equity is part of the teacher's actual moral belief system, and they follow through. This means implementing equity in the classroom, the staff room, in the community, and life in general. It means taking the initiative to learn about new practices that might make the classroom more inclusive. If the teacher makes a mistake, they're honest about it, own up to it, make up for it, and grow.
E is for evaluation. Evaluation, the process of analyzing work to understand a student's general grasp of a course based on their strengths and needs. Educators use evaluation to assess learning and possible adjustments that are needed for a student's understanding of the material. Educators can help students succeed in their evaluations by pinpointing possible accommodations or modifications by following an IEP closely, or simply acknowledging any potential needs in the classroom. An example of this could be an assessment through oral communication rather than a written test, or offering various tech tools for assistance. In doing this, assessments, assignments, and class learning become wholly more accessible for students across the school. Learning and evaluation don't have to only be catered towards a single type of learner. In fact, having inclusive evaluation is extremely important for fair and equitable assessment of a student's learning.
V is for vulnerability. When teachers embrace vulnerability in the classroom, they create an environment where authenticity matters and students can be open. Inclusivity is a journey. As educators, we have a responsibility for continued learning. When teachers position themselves as being superior in the classroom, learning stops. By being vulnerable and accepting that we all have more to learn, teachers model lifelong learnership and encourage openness in their students. In Dana Hickey's Indigenous Epistemologies, Worldviews, and Theories of Power, knowledge is gained over a lifetime and gathered from many sources. If teachers adopt an all-knowing persona, students believe they too need to be perfect to succeed in the classroom. This makes it challenging for students to communicate the support they need in order to succeed.
E is for equity. Equity means ensuring every student has what they need to succeed rather than giving everyone the exact same resources. In an inclusive classroom, equity helps remove barriers so that all students, especially those from marginalized groups, can fully participate and feel valued. Equity is important because students come to school with different experiences, identities, and challenges, and fair learning opportunities require us as future educators to recognize and support those differences. However, progress towards equity can be slowed by racial equity detours, such as denial or minimizing the role of race in student experiences. As future educators, it is important to recognize these detours and move beyond them so we can create learning environments where every student feels respected, supported, and included. The B.E.L.I.V.E framework reminds us that building inclusive classrooms requires intention in many areas, from belonging, empathy, lived experiences, integrity, evaluation, vulnerability, and equity. When we commit to all of these principles, we create learning spaces where every student truly has the opportunity to succeed.